So, hey everybody, welcome to Gab's Dojo once again. And we're on lesson 4, surprisingly. So last week we were talking about the art of defense and punishment with the idea of how understanding the game and understanding characters can help improve your defense, and methods of punishment, and how you can improve your punishment in training or in mid-game if you didn't have the knowledge of frame data. But frame data kind of helps out in a lot of things. It has very many tentacles, I guess, that touches many things. So it leads on to the topic today, which is the theory behind frame data. Now, frame data is also the start of the topics that are bracketed in level 2. For those who didn't know, when I first started this, I had lessons, levels 1, 2 and 3 and topics in each of them. And level 1 was more basic concepts that need to be understood to improve, and level 2 even, is more technical aspects which helps improve understanding of the game, why things happen, what makes things work the certain way that they do, etc. So frame data is the start of that. Is it just your stream is lagging? People's streams lagging quite badly. Not now. Okay. So, with that summary out of the way, let's get into the theory of frame data. For me, the quality is blurry, like it's 360p. I'll refresh. Well, hopefully so, because I'm streaming at 720, so that would be nice if you got 720. Let's go to training. I'm going to try and keep this as non-boring as possible. I will do my best, and I'll try my best to keep an eye on the chat as well in case people don't understand anything or want to ask questions, because this is important, but I find it very important that everyone's at the same page, and I know everyone's understanding is at different levels. But yeah, hopefully we can get through part 1. So I have to be biased and choose my main. And now let's go with Sonya. Usual game, someone pick a stage for me, please.
Stand down.
Good to hear you back, Dan. Grotto. Good choice. It's my favourite stage. Right, so frame data. The joy that is frame data. First things first. To understand frame data, you need to understand what a frame is. Now, a frame, if you didn't know, is basically just one still of animation. So, if, for example, you're playing a game, like a fighting game or a shooting game, whatever, or you're watching a video, when you pause it, that still picture essentially is one frame. Now, in games, multiple frames are run every second in order for animations to be recorded, or animations to be displayed. And another example would be like if you use the flipbook don't know, maybe for you young cats you wouldn't know, but for us older generation guys, you had things called flip books where you'll flip many pages and you'll play out a scene, but one of those pages basically would represent one frame. So what frame data is that it breaks down the frames and the animations that you see on screen and turns them into numbers. That's what this basically is. Now, I know some people have wanted to learn frame data, but they go and they pick a move. Let's see, I mean, any standing move like standing 2, and you just see all these numbers and all these terms, and most people are just like, what the hell is all this? Startup, recovery, block advantage. I don't really know what this means, or what's 24 got to do with 2, what's 9 got to do with 15. I mean, I have no idea what's going on. Even worse when you see a frame data chart where you just see rows and rows of numbers, and it's just like, wow, headache. Damn. Can I just go back to playing games, please? So because of that, I know people find it intimidating to know frame data or to try and learn it. But once you do break it down, it's not as intimidating as it seems. It is basically just basic numbers and basic math. But before you need to know the numbers of frame data, you need to know the phases or the categories. Now in my practice mode, I've already got it up here, but in practice options, section here called frame data, and you have the option to have it off, player 1 on, player 1 2, or both. So I always have mine both, and you will see the little boxes underneath each player, underneath Jackie and Sonia. And this way it's good for you to see frame data live, because once you learn everything, if you wanted to check frame data instead of going to the move list and see, oh, what's the data of my back 3? Oh, okay, this startup is 14 frames. With this box you can just do back 3 straight away and see the numbers appear. So it's always good to have that on, and it's also more accurate than the move list, because sometimes the move list is wrong. But anyway, digressing. So you've got the 6 topics in each of those boxes. You got startup, active and recovery on the top, and block advantage, hit advantage, counter advantage at the bottom. So first up is startup, active and recovery, and the best way I guess to explain it is I'm going to give a real life example outside of fighting games. I'm sure everyone can relate to this. Either sitting at your desk or lying in your bed doing something, and your phone goes off because you received a message on your phone, chime, vibration, whatever you have. I could tell I was just looking bamboozled when you said block advantage. Hopefully not by the end of this lesson. So you're lying there and your phone goes off with a message. Your goal or your activity that you want to do is you want to read that message, find out what it is, and put your phone away. Now since the phone is next to you, not in your hand, you can't like levitate it to your hand or whatever, unless you've got superpowers. If you do, don't show it in front of the government. But what you have to do is that you need to grab your phone. So the action of you moving your hand to grab your phone is essentially you starting to do your activity, or if you want to reword it, it's startup. When you grab the phone and see the message and read it, that is you actually performing that activity of reading the message, or you can say the time that you're actively doing it. And then you've read the message, you've gone to put your phone down and going back to doing what you're doing. That is you ending your task, or you can say recovering back to what you were doing beforehand. I read that message on my phone while Lost distracted me in this lesson. What am I going to do with you two? That's about it. I wish I had superpowers. That might be a side topic. What superpower would you have if you can choose? But with that example with the phone, it's the same thing with fighting games. So your goal is to hit somebody, but I can't hit somebody from here. I have to do a move that's going to hit. So I need to start doing my move, and then the time when my move will hit is when it's active, and then me recovering back to normal is the end of that phase. Like so. Starting up is the leap, the flash in the hands is when it will hit somebody, and going back to my normal state is recovery. Ah, telekinesis, not bad. In terms of hit advantage, block advantage, and cancel advantage, cancel advantage. If I had superpowers, I'd hide in some way because that means there'll be a villain with more powerful superpowers that never changes. Fair enough. Cancel advantage, I don't feel is that important because what that's related to is how normals can cancel into specials. Like when you find some normals or strings cancel into some special moves but others don't, or when you're doing moves or strings that cancel into something else, or for pressure, that's where it kind of gets involved with the calculation, but it's not that important in my opinion. So I'm going to leave that on the side for now. So I'm going to focus more on block advantage and hit advantage now. Block advantage is simply when a move is used and it is blocked, the amount of time you can move, the amount of time that needs to pass before you can move again. That is basically it. And the same thing as hit advantage is the amount of time you can move after a move lands on hit. When I go into each individual bit, I'll go into more detail, but that is it in its basic form. So just to recap, I equip with 5 categories, or 6 I should say, with cancel. Startup is the move, it's a point of time when you are starting your move, the time it takes for your move to start. Active is the time when you move, the time it takes for the move to hit. Recovery is you going back to your normal stance. Block advantage is when you block a move, the amount of time you have before you can move, and the same with hit advantage, but only when the move is on hit. And cancel advantage is the amount of time you have to cancel a normal into something else, or a string into something else. Now before I delve deeper into better explanations and a bit more practical stuff instead of me just talking forever, there's some general rules that applies in frame data that it's generally across multiple games. Some of them are a bit tweaked amongst multiple, but these are the general standard rules. First thing is that all fighting games run at 60 frames per second. So therefore, when we talk about a single frame, we are talking 1/60th of a second. Can you not get like a whiteboard application on there somehow? Sometimes diagrams help people learn easier. Do you know what? That's not a bad idea. I can't do it now, but I might look into that for part 2 though. So when we talk about 60 frames, that's 1 second. Another general rule is recovery and advantage is binary. So what I mean is, when you look at frame data, if I do a move like Jackie's back 1, you see recovery appears as 34. But when my back 1 hits, you notice there's no number on recovery, but there's now a number that applies a hit advantage. Similar that if a move is blocked, no recovery, no hit advantage, but there's a number on block advantage. So basically recovery only applies for when a move misses or whiffs. If a move is hit or blocked, you don't need to take into account recovery at all. And same thing vice versa. Block advantage and hit advantage doesn't apply if a move misses, but recovery does. The other general rule is that it's widely accepted across the FGC that 20 frames startup is known to be reactable. So anything under 20 frames is basically can't react and you have to guess, which is where the term 50-50 comes from, where you have an overhead or a low which both have startup frames of less than 20. So since you can't react to them, you have to guess which way you're going, whether you have to block high or low. Now 20 frames I say is debatable because everyone's reaction times are different. I mean, I know I can't react to 20 frames consistently. If I do, then there's definitely a how should I say, celebration in this house, so that's for sure. Oh wow. Did I just get a hose and ketchup and mustard? Hey guys, how's it going? But crazy, damn, wow. Anyway, so that's the general rules. So now I'm just going to go through each category and try and be as brief as I can, because I don't expect this to be a very long lesson. So first up is startup frames. Now general startup, as I said, is the amount of time taking for your move to start before you hit somebody. This is very useful for knowing which moves are fast and which moves are slow, typically. So we know that down pokes seem particularly fast, like down 1 7 frames start up, down 3 9, down 4 10. And then you got slow moves like back 1 27, back to 18 and such. So knowing startup frames, what's good for them is basically useful for knowing what your punishes are going to be. It's useful for which moves are going to be your pokes. Any kind of mix-ups if they're mids or lows. And yeah, basically that would be going for those. Wow, have I got 157 viewers? Okay, welcome everybody. So yeah, that's basically what you would look into startup for. Active frames, people don't really look into them too much, but in terms of knowing what they'll be useful for, it would usually be looking for like anti-airs and meters. So I'm just gonna quickly record Sonia doing a couple of junk kicks, and let's do it. Let me check, did I do that? Okay, that's the high one. I'm gonna do a low one, a deep one. Okay, so active frames is usually for anti-airs, for example. So most people try and do down ones for anti-airs, and it shows in my little box here that there's only 2 frames. So even though that's not a long time, it's still decent for an anti-air, but you can have to be strict on your timing. So if I play back Sonia doing a high jump kick, it's kind of easy to miss time if you're too late. But changing it just to standing 1, 3 frames are active. Now that only 1 frame doesn't sound like a lot, when especially one frame is like 1/60th, but it can actually make a big difference in terms of anti-airing. So just for example, so much easier. And even if it was like the deeper jump kick, very easy again compared to down once, which is a bit more trickier. But this time I'm getting each time. Same case happens with like down twos. Down twos are 4 frames. If I get rid of Sonya doing that. Active for 4 frames, which is why they're very solid anti-air. And same with like 4-2 for Jackie, which is 3 frames active. So that's the only time when you will look at active frames for anti-airs. And also for meaties, which is basically meaties is where you knock somebody down and then you basically apply pressure on them where the last active frame hits the opponent as they're getting up, and it's usually good for like stuffing wake ups and stuff like that. So if for example I just have Sonya set to get up with up 2, I know my back 2 has 3 active frames, so knocking her down, it's easier to stuff with a move like this compared to something like forward 3, which is only 2 active frames, can easily be mistimed. So that's really the only time where active frames are useful. It's not usually looked into like in a match or that deeply, but when you're working out what's the best moves to anti-air, matching that with startup frames is a good idea to figure out what your best go-to anti-air is. And in terms of looking at recovery frames, they basically tell you the moves that are very important to make sure it's blocked or hit, and that if you miss, you're gonna get punished most of the time. So when you think about it, 30 frames to recover for 34 frames, and when I said this game runs at 60 frames per second, so 60 frames is 1 second, if something takes 34 frames to recover, that basically means in half a second you can't do anything. Or even like my down 2, if I miss that, that's 40 frames recovered, so 2/3 of a second I can't do anything, which doesn't sound like a lot in real time, but in a fighting game that's ages to punish. Ages. So that's going over startup, active and recovery. Let me quickly catch up on the chat to see what I missed. No, it's a Jackie variation name, thanks very much. Pyro, did I miss anything important? Just going through the frame data stuff, Pyro. Got through quite a bit already, but don't worry, this video will go up on YouTube, and then you'll be able to watch some things from there and catch up on the bits you missed. Down, so your opponent has half a second to punish you. Technically, yeah, depending on the move, which is also why some people go for low pokes, because as you can see, recovery frames for them are a lot lower. Like if a down 1 misses, it's going to be hard to whiff punish something that has that low frames of recovery compared to this or this. Victor L, I never understood the frame data. Well, has what I've told you now helped you better understand it? If not, let me know. Why isn't range in the frame data? It's never really accounted for, but it does change depending when where a move hits or how it's spaced, which we might get into a bit of that later. You can go through the counter advantage on block to find out how big the gaps are. Yes, that is also true, Rocco, and welcome. Appreciate you being here. It should have let you see the hitboxes in practice mode like NK9. I 100% agree, 'cause that's a topic I do want to go over, hitboxes, but without obviously being able to see them, it's a bit tricky, but I'll find a way. Right, so the key ones that everyone seems to care about is block advantage and hit advantage. So block advantage, let's go all. So let me take over this blade for a bit. So block advantage basically gives you the amount of time that you're able to move after a move is blocked. Now block and hit advantage are the only two categories where you see positive and negative numbers. I swear I still don't get it. I'm sorry, it's just very confusing to me. That's okay, Victor, that's fine. If you want, I can go through it again separately, one-on-one, if you'd like. By all means, just message me if you want to do that, and then I'll do my best to help you understand it. But anyway, back to block advantage. It's possible to get a flawless block every time against punishers. Not against punishers, no. But on negative frames that are safe, yeah, you can. So, block advantage is useful to know what's good and what's bad and what's safe. So, you're seeing this string a lot by many Sonya players. And as you can see from that move, the string says block advantage is -14. Now, just a general rule. What's deemed as unsafe in this game? I would say anything, with the exception of Raiden and Rajin with his nonsense. Anything -5 or lower, so -5, -4, -3 onwards, is known as safe. Anything above that, -6, punishable by 1 or 2 characters, -7, 1 or 2 as well, not by much, but it can be. But when you get to -8, -9 onwards, then we're looking at most of the cast can punish something. So when you, it can be by -6 punishable, can be by Raiden with Rajin if he's got his discharge up, because I think he can punish moves from -4. So he's kind of like the exception, but generally -5 to -6 is safe, put it that way. So when you see a block advantage -14, if you want to punish it, you basically need a move that would start up in 13 frames or less to do a punish bar. Raiden can punish -6 and above. Oh, it's -6. Oh, okay, I thought it was -4. Thanks for the clear up, Rocco. Much appreciated. So have it in your idea that in terms of unsafe moves, where's my train of thought gone? Anything that's like -8 and above, you're looking at potential punishable territory. Ah, it was before. Okay. So when it comes to safe moves, such as 1, 3, 4, that's -5. So when the term safe is being used, that basically means the move on block is negative, but no one can punish it. So when you do a move that's minus, bear in mind that if you do decide to press a button after a string that is minus on block, you're likely going to get beat out by your opponent. So usually most people do block. Power minus safe and low save. What about unsafe? Yeah, pretty much. And the other term that is usually thrown about is neutral and block advantage, and that basically means block advantage is 0 and both players can move at the same time. In a sense of Sonia's back one versus Scarlet's 2-1-2. Exactly that. Scarlet's 2-1-2 is quite negative on block, so therefore Sonia's back one would be a straight punish to that. I can actually just show you an example now. Why not? Instead of me just talking, let me actually showcase some stuff. So if I recall, what am I doing? If I recall Jackie just doing that, if I do it correctly, that is very negative. Okay, let me use a better move. It's unsafe. Go for clinch. So that's minus 18 on block clinch. So it's a straight punish from back one. Now if you're late, the opponent will block in time. But that's an example of a move being unsafe and just using a quick start up move for an easy punish. Yes, as Rocco says, minus 11 I believe, so 9 frame punish will be easy. In part 2 I'll be going into a lot of this into more detail for sure, with proper examples to showcase how you would apply frame data. So what else? I've gone through unsafe moves, so moves that are basically getting towards minus 8ish or higher is where it's unsafe across the cast. Between 7 and 6 where you get into territory of a few members of the cast. Safe moves, something minus 6 downwards where it's not your turn anymore to move, but your opponent can press a button. Neutral is where both opponents can move, and plus is where you can move before the opponent can. So if I take Sonia's forward 3, you notice block advantage says 2. So because it says 2, that basically means I can move 2 frames before my opponent, and with that allows me to have the advantage to do something to hopefully catch my opponent out into hitting a button. So for example, I'm just going to switch to Jackie quickly and showcase Sonia doing forward 3 into down 3. I'll show it with the jump test. Actually, that's not a bad idea. You know what, I always forget about the jump test. I'm always good. I always remember doing it myself, but I never show it to other people, and it's probably something I should do. Okay, let me get Jackie to jump up. Appreciate you being here, Rocky, helping me out. No, I don't want to control. I want to stick with Sonia. So we're gonna let Jackie jump around for a bit. So basically, when you are plus, you're allowed to move before your opponent can. So when I do forward 3 and Jackie blocks, I'll be able to jump before she can. Just slightly. It doesn't seem like a lot, but Sonia is jumping just ahead. So with that, Jackie had to like Kung Lao plays. And if you've got to jump into a dive kick and you've got a good jump free that's hard to enter, yeah, why not? Jump in all day. So an example, well, to showcase an example in real life times, if I recorded Jackie doing, I'm gonna stay on you, but I'm gonna record Jackie doing back 3-4 because that's plus into down 1. It'll be easier if I control the right person. I don't want to jump in, I want to stand in. No, jump. I don't want to jump. I want to normal. Stand, there we go. Okay, so let's record Jackie. Now, that string is +4, so I'm gonna try and press a button in between. Notice I get counted. Because I can't press a button because it's not my turn. And that's the indication when characters are plus. So when you see Jackies do that string, or you see like Liu Kang doing forward 4, 3, up 3, or you see certain standing strings like certain 1-1s or standing 2s, people will say are plus. Basically means if you block them, if you press a button, you're likely going to lose because it's still the opponent's turn. Most plus strings do have gaps in them though. That's like the counter to them. So if you see the gap, you can poke or stand in normal in between. But you do need to go through them. You do need to learn the times, throw out the normal correctly at the right moment in time. And I believe that is a block advantage generally. So then lastly you would have hit advantage. I will go over cancel advantage a different time because that's the same business. With hit advantage, same as block. When you say gaps, that also includes flawless block gaps. No. Not always, no. So with plus you can't even punish or fight back. Technically no. I mean, if you want to be brave, you can push a button. Like, it's definitely not punishable, no. If you wanted to fight back to press a button, then that would mean that you likely will lose out. So your best bet is to just block whatever follow-up here is. If you want to challenge, it's up to you. If it works, then you're lucky. But bear in mind that if the player is playing correctly, if you press a button when the opponent is plus, you are likely going to lose, get hit, get punished, etc. Damn, Rocco answering all the questions. You might have to be my assistant for this going forward. With hit advantage, I don't want to play back. Hit advantage is similar. So once a move hits, it's the amount of time that you're allowed to move before your opponent. And this is useful for knowing what you can follow up with, and a common term that people throw out is jailing. Let me see. When this frame seems to be its last and exact number of frames. Plus strings have a lot of pushback, true. How about trying to step back and zone from a plus frame? I mean, if there's enough pushback on the frames that are plus, you can try. Because there's nothing wrong with trying out something and seeing if it works. If it doesn't work, like if you still get caught out, still get hit, then by all means please, you know, think about blocking. What is hit stun? Hit stun is basically the same term for hit advantage. So, hit advantage. Using Sonya's down 3, for example. What on auto? That showcases I have 10 frames of hit advantage. So what is the best solution against Liu Kang's forward 4? That info would save my life in Combat League. Forward 4 is minus on blocks, so therefore if a Kung Lao player does it, it's technically your turn to press a button. Oh, Liu Kang's forward 4 even. I was thinking Kung Lao's for some reason. Liu Kang's forward 4 is his own beast, but most of the moves he does is negative except for the full string, which is plus. But that has a gap, so you either have to exploit the gap, or if you block the full string, block it standing so that you get increased pushback, and that will allow you to reverse or backdash out of a follow-up. Or if you don't do that, just have to hold what he does next, otherwise you risk getting hit. Right, hit advantage. So down 3 has 10 frames of hit advantage, and what's a common term that's thrown out in frame data, especially involving hit advantage, is jailing. And what jailing is basically what's similar to when you're in jail. If you're in jail, you can't get out. So jailing indicates you doing a move that your opponent can't do anything about except blocking. So we know down 3 it's got 10 frames of advantage, and standing 1 has start up of 7. So if we hit a down 3, we have 10 frames we can move before my opponent can. I have a standing 1 that starts up in 7 frames, so therefore he will not be able to do anything, or she will not be able to do anything apart from block. So just to showcase this, I'm going to take control of Jackie and record Sonya doing down 3 into standing 1, and I want her ducking. So on auto, nah, auto, there we go. So after down 3, I'm going to try backdashing. No, so it doesn't work. If I try jumping out, doesn't work. If I try pressing the button, doesn't work. If I try fatal blow, can't get it out. So that's an example of what jailing is. Opponent cannot do anything except block. Let's have a look what people are saying. I can't tell if Blues are doing 4-3 stagger or 4-4-3. It's always going to be a guess, Dan, to be honest. You need to know the options of all, but you always have to guess. I always try to poke on 4-4 and everything was plus, taking those now. Yeah, 4-4 itself is not plus, but the full string is. So 4-4 3 up 3 is what's plus. I feel like I went worse on this game all the time. Don't worry about it, Victor, it's not all that bad. So hit advantage is good to know what is jailing, what jails, what doesn't jail, and basically how you can follow up your offense. And even with Sonya, since we have got Sonya, we can, apart from jail with standard 1, we've got 10 frames of hit advantage to play with, or 11. Forward 4, which is a mid, can also be used, and that would jail as well. Nothing that your opponent can do about it. Hey Joey Bench, I'll watch the full VOD when you're finished. No problem. I'm also going to upload a video on YouTube a bit later. And even with Sonya, if you got good timing, good execution, you can jail back 1 as well. So if I set Jackie to duck, so technically this can lead into your back 1 50-50, going back 1-2 or back 1-4. So, what if you have a hit advantage of 5 and then you follow up with a 7-frame startup move? Does that count as jailing or not? No, it does not, Dan. Because to jail, the startup frames of your next move has to be less than the hit advantage of the move that landed. So if you wanted to do jailing from hit advantage of 5, you would need like a 4-frame normal or 4-frame move in order for it to jail, so that they couldn't do anything about it. But can I get out of this situation? In this game, yes, because flawless block exists. But yes, they only have 2 frames to move, but flawless block does exist. Aside from that, probably not, because if you wanted to do fatal blow, that doesn't start up quick enough. Backdashes, you probably will catch them in the middle of a backdash. They might be able to jump, and you'll get a clip. You'll clip them with that normal, but yeah, essentially it wouldn't be jailing. You will just have a major advantage where they can't move. And lastly, your head is hurting. I mean, I did say this lesson wasn't going to be great because it is the theory behind it. Next lesson would be more interesting because it'll be more about, once you understand this theory, how you would apply this to your game plan, to your moveset. And since there'll be a lot more practical examples where it'll be easier to understand how these things work, hopefully things will be better for you. But for some people, for you to understand this and apply it to your game, you kind of need to know the nitty-gritty stuff behind it, which isn't fun, I'm not gonna lie, but it's necessary evil. And yes, Rocco gave the great example about mashing down to 1+, but not going for a jailing move. And this example of jailing, for as I mentioned there, with like Sonya's down 3 going into standing 1. If you remembered back in episode 1 when there were issues with high moves missing despite it being your turn, that was an example of where even though it was your turn, jailing didn't work and people could mash pokes or down to you out of your move. Since the latest patch, they kind of fixed that now on most cases, not with every character. But yes, that is the general thing on frame data. I said I didn't say it'd be a long lesson. Just for recap, as I know, frame data is intimidating. Hopefully you would have some understanding of what I mentioned today. But just as a quick recap, startup, low numbers are good, but it's basically the startup of your attack, useful for knowing punishes, pokes and mix-ups. Active frames you look into for when finding out your anti-airs. Recovery frames indicate which moves you can't really miss. Block advantage is amount of time that needs to pass before you can move, and that's useful for knowing unsafe fins, safe fins, neutral fins and plus fins. And hit advantage, you can do what you can follow up with once a move hits. So good for knowing what to enforce your offense if you want to do jailing, etc. Cancel advantage has its own properties. That's going to be covered in a separate part because that's a little bit special. And let me quickly catch up on the chat. Rocco, my teacher assistant, is doing the work. Yes, cancel advantage on block is for gaps, which do help identify what has a gap and what doesn't. But yes, I will go through that in a separate time. So for those who are still surviving, that's it for frame data as of this moment in time. Follow-up lesson is going to be on this Monday coming, where I'll be talking about applying frame data into your game plan. What does it mean? How to find things, how to exploit things, etc., etc. Show the example with subs free gap. Fair point. You're welcome, Dan. Subs free gap.
Sub-Zero.
Let's go with me.
Shang Tsung's island ruins.
Yes, I have the Dimitri skin, because why not? What is free? Yeah, it's a move that's never really used. Often. This is a standing free. That is free. Wanted to say let the intro flow, but it's practice. Yeah, I know, sad times. I wish I was interested in practice. Ah, ducking. Of course it will miss. So, as you can see, standing free on block. Says 2 plus, but it says cancel advantage is 20 frames. Now, if you see the startup of the second part, startup frames is 29 frames. So when you do free, your cancel advantage is only 20 frames. And the startup of the next move is 29, so you indicate that the advantage is less than the startup of the next move. I hope I haven't lost you here. But so if you subtract the cancel advantage from the startup frames of the next move, that tells you how big the gap is, as Rocco's explaining. So realistically, that has a 9 frame gap in it, because 20 frames of cancel advantage, the second free is 29 frames, so the 20 minus the 29 is equal to minus 9. So you need to use something below 9 frame move to poke or something. Yes, Lusty, that's basically it. How big does the gap has to be flawless blockable? I think 7 frames to be exact. I think. But if I just got Jackie to do flawless block, you'll see she'll flawless block both. Because of that gap. Oh, it can be done at 5 frames. Nice. Interesting. So with a 9 frame gap, so if I switch over to Jackie and I record my man sub Dimitri, my homie, doing free and I'm blocking. That's the gap. Blocker timer, right? I'm very bad at timing right now. There you go. Poke through the gap. I wish I practiced this before, because I'm getting really bad. Actually, let me stand block this. There we go. Yeah, same as the Fatal Blow. Try this in Combat League, default max is 300 ms. I'm not gonna lie, these kind of things are harder online because of ping, etc. It is something worthwhile learning and something worthwhile practicing. Alright, let me try forward through. Damn. My timing is off today. Gonna do standard one. Am I lagging or something? Actually, I might be lagging here. Because... Oh, let me do goose kick. I swear I'm lagging. Oh, there we go. Wow, reversal counter and I get countered. Nice. But you kind of see the gap. So if I practiced this beforehand, this would have been fine. Rocco's showing me up on my own stream. But that is basically what counter advantage is also looking. Well, basically what is useful in understanding where you could use it. For looking into gaps, if you want to go deep into what strings can cancel into specials that will combo and what doesn't, you can, but you know, all that stuff I don't think is really that applicable to this game due to how the engine of this game works. It was more applicable in MKX because of run cancels and working out to maintain pressure doing that. This much, yeah, mainly for gaps. And with that, that is the end of today's lesson. So thanks for anyone who tuned in. I appreciate it. Ketchup and mustard for the host. Very much appreciated for that. And basically next lesson is going to be Monday, which is going to be on applying frame data, a bit more practical, a bit more interactive with the chat, regarding moves, when to use them, when to apply them, etc. So that hopefully you can get a better understanding and then you start applying it to your own game. For those watching this on YouTube, on the VOD, have a hopefully you've learned something. Hopefully frame data is some form easier to understand, or at least get a bit better understanding. If not, by all means please leave a comment on my video asking any questions. I'll get back to them as soon as possible. And thanks again for watching, appreciate it, and I will see you next time.